So next we're going to be creating a clustered column chart. So we'll actually be looking at this one, the sectors. So this will make a nice column chart. Let's start off only by doing the New Century Fund, okay, rather than creating both. And I'm going to show you how to go ahead and add data once. So I grab the title starting from A3 all the way down to the last number over here, ending at C15. And I'm saying insert, and I am creating a two-dimensional clustered column chart. Okay, so again, even though it's a clustered column chart, you can select only one set of data. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take this chart and we're going to move it, and we're going to go ahead and move it to our summary report, same way we did the pie chart. Once again, if you want to move it down to where you want it, I want it to be down in this area. So scroll up on top and make sure you grab the background of the chart. Once you get those 4 arrows across with the 4 arrows, you can move it. Then to resize it, just click on, once you get the double arrows, kind of like a diagonal line, you can resize it to fit the area you want. Okay, so some of the things we're going to work with is this legend over here is not necessary, right? We have the same thing showing up in the title. It's the New Century Fund. We know that. All right, so over here, we don't need this legend. So come here into your layout of your chart. You can just come into legend and say none. Okay. So what we want to do is we want to change this axis. All right, so you see how it goes from 0 to 16%. Currently, it's set to automatically set these major ticks, if you will, or the major lines for your axis at going up every 2%, ending at 16%. So that's set up automatically. And basically, the reason why I picked 16% is it was just enough to cover this area. You can change that to be whatever you want. And the way you would do it is you would come here to where it says axes. And basically we're changing the vertical axis. It's going up and down. And we want to change it, some more details. We definitely want it to still show. Where it's showing is perfect. And we're going to change it up a little bit. Okay, so this is what I was talking about, the axis options. So right now the maximum that's showing is 16%. Well, you can change that number and force it to be 20% if you want. Because we tend to work in 5s more, we're going to make it 20%, okay? And the unit that we wanted to go up by, instead of 2% each time, we want it to actually go up 5% each time. So we're going to change that to 0.05. If you just click out on the top part, you'll see it take effect, okay? So the minor unit would be like the little lines that would appear here. They currently don't exist. We don't have those grid lines showing. But think of a ruler. If this was from 0 to 1 inch per se, you would have those little lines that show 1/8 of an inch, then a quarter, then a half, so on and so on and so on, so on, okay? So you could control that as well. We're just going to leave it to be automatic. We're not going to turn on these grid lines at this time. Where the percentage is. All right, so here I am. Instead of having 2 decimal places, I'm going to change it to be 0 decimal places because it's really not serving a purpose. I'm going to say close. And so you see how it shows 20%, 15% without the decimal places. I actually meant to make this one earlier. Okay, so now I'm clicking back on my pie chart. And I actually meant to make this one extend it out to 2 decimal places just to show you if you want to show a little more detailed data, you could. Okay, so on the data labels, if you hit more data label options here, you can click on the number, click on percentage, and as soon as you click on percentage, it automatically turns on the 2%. And so we want to show more detailed data, and you can do that as well. Okay, so now you see how those bars are just very skinny and there's a big space in between them. you could change the way they look as well. Okay, so if I click on this, you see how it selects everything, right? That's considered the data series. One way to format what you've clicked on is you can click on anything you want or need and then click on Format Selection. Okay, so you see how it says Format Data Series. I just want to show you, be very careful with this, that they're all highlighted. If I only click on one, you see how it says Format Data Point? You never want it to say Format Data Point if you want to affect everything. That would be if you only wanted to change one particular bar. All right, so, and notice, like as I'm clicking around, it changes what we're working on. But if I click on this one more time, all I need to do is click on one, but if you click on it once, it selects the whole data series, same way we did the pie chart. If you were to click on it again, it only selects one data point. All right, so we want to work on the whole data series, and we want to make sure it says Format Data Series. Okay, so what we want to do is, you see the gap width? It's set to 150 by default. You can make this less, and you see how when I scroll down, they become fatter. Okay, because they have more room since this gap is less. Okay, you can also change what the fill is. Right now it's set to automatic, so automatic would be a solid fill. So there's a solid fill if you wanted to force it rather than have it be automatic. You can also select a gradient fill. All right, you can control the gradient fill, how it looks, how it's highlighted. You can also control the direction. Again, this is all just visual. What do you want it to look like? Oops, I don't like those preset colors. So if you want to change the color, I would recommend you do a solid color. But I wanted to change it. There we go. I just wanted to show you the difference here on the gradient fill. So I'm going to go ahead and close this now and leave it just like this. So here we have the New Century Fund, but let's say we wanted to include the S&P 500 data as well on this clustered column chart. You can easily just update where your data is. You don't have to recreate a whole new chart. So go back into your design, and you're clicked on this chart, if you recall, okay, making sure you're in here. If you click on Select Data, it automatically will jump into the original sheet, the sector sheet that we selected the data from. So you can change it to include all of that data. All right, so make sure you select everything again. And I'm selecting the data. Okay, so now it's showing me the legend entry, includes a New Century and the S&P 500 baseline. So I'm going to go ahead and say OK, and you see it brought this data in here. One of the things that did was it got rid of my chart title. So we need to tweak this a little bit more. And if you recall, we turned off our legend. Definitely should turn it on. So I'm going to go to my layout. I'll make that my first step. I'm going to turn on my legend. Remember, we were always dropping to the right, but this time I want to just at the bottom, show the legend at the bottom. So you see how it shows the New Century and then the S&P 500. Okay, if you still want that title above the chart, you can still change it to be New Century because we're really just focusing in on our information. So I'm just typing in New Century. Okay. I am going to make it a little smaller, solid line around it, and I'm going to make this a little smaller, my font. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you one way that we can make this look a little fancier. So what we're going to do is we can actually make what we call a combination chart. And what a combination chart is when you make a chart of two different types of charts. So here we have the original clustered column chart. We're going to select just the S&P data series, and we're going to actually change that only to be a different chart. We're going to change it to be a line chart. So I'm going back into the design, and I can say change chart type. Okay. If I had not selected just this data series, and I clicked on change chart type, it would change both the New Century Fund and the S&P 500. I don't want to change both. I just want to change this one. So I say change chart type, and I select my line. And I want to select the line with the markers. And I'm going to say okay. So you see how now I have two different types of charts. And this one actually went back to that original pretty chart that we had, a little fatter, because now it has more space to work like that. Okay, so you see how this is being cut off? So I want to change this 20% to actually be 25%. So I'm going to come to my layout. I'm going to go back to my vertical axis, and I'm going to say more details. And the maximum, instead of making it 20%, I'm now going to make it 25%. So I just typed a 5 over there. I'm going to say close. So now I can see the top of this one as well. It makes ours a little shorter, but that's okay. And so now what we're going to do is we want to get rid of these lines, and we want to leave like a skinny little marker. We just want the S&P 500 kind of hovering above. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select, again, only that particular data series. I'm going to go into my format selection. And you see where I have my marker options. It's a big square now. I have to click on built-in. Again, you can select any of these that you want. I'm just going to go with the dash, just because the book does that. And so when you practice on your own, it makes it easier for you to follow the book. And you see where it says line color now? It's automatic. So it automatically picks up the same color that the legend picked up and the markers, etc. You can set that to no line at all. I'm going to close this and click away from that data series just so you can see what that looks like. So now you have kind of like the S&P just hovering above ours, okay? And that's what a combination chart might look like. You could have left those lines in there. It is indeed still a line chart. We just got rid of the lines connecting the dots. I just want to show you also, if you wanted to show the exact number, might be a little cumbersome for here, but I just want to show you, if you want to show the exact number, you can, if you say on the outside end over here, it shows the actual number of our, and I did it just for this data series. I didn't do it for the S&P 500. So it just shows you the numbers of our actual chart. All right, so we've now ended with a combination chart. It was a cluster chart, and then we took just the S&P 500 and we turned that series only into a line chart.